We're live. Hello, everybody.
Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome indeed, and delighted that you're here. And Rebecca's here. Rebecca, good morning, good afternoon by 1 minute, right, in New Zealand?
It is good afternoon, Tom. Hi.
All right. And as technology would have it, as soon as Rebecca said, "Right, we're going live," the bio I had very carefully positioned on my screen disappeared. Microsoft Word, for some bizarre reason, decided to shut down. So instead of reading your bio, what I'm going to do is introduce you a la natural. And so Rebecca and I connected last year, and the reason we connected is, first of all, you very generously bought 10 copies of my book, The $1 Million Ceiling, for which I'm still eternally grateful. And that sort of led me to poke around a bit on the internet and think, well, who is Rebecca Careau? And so it's a very good marketing ploy of yours, I think, pardon me, to buy my book in quantity. And I came across a few of Rebecca's sample websites that she had done. One of them was by a fellow called Bruce Ross. And Bruce and I worked together for many years at the Entrepreneur Success Program. And some of the people online might even remember those glory days from 1995 to 2005. We ran that across different countries and right through and so on and so on and so on, 3-year program. Anyhow, long short of this is that the way Rebecca constructed websites was an absolute joy to see, and there's only one other person in the whole world that I know of that has that level of ability to get a website looking good, but more importantly, to actually get it generating leads. And of course, that's kind of my thing, is lead generation, but I don't do it by putting up websites. I'm not that smart, but Rebecca does. So I contacted Rebecca and I said, look, I'm really interested in learning more about what you do and how you do it, because I haven't, as I said, with only one other exception, a guy in Germany actually, I've never seen it done like this before. Crisp, clear, simple call to action. This is what we do. Here's our value proposition, benefit rich, not just I'm a consultant, I'm a coach, but a benefit rich value proposition. A really enticing way to get your first name and email address in there, and off we go on the marketing funnel. So I thought it was brilliant, and that's why I've invited Rebecca. Now, Rebecca is a direct response specialist. So again, that's music to my ears, because there's so much marketing out there which you can't measure, but direct response marketing, whereby we say, here's an offer, would you like it, yes or no, that you can measure. So Rebecca is someone who puts her reputation on the line every time she works with a client, because the results are so darned measurable, unlike, say, brand marketing or something like this where it's all a bit fuzzy-wuzzy. Now, that's enough for me, Rebecca. The floor is yours. Take it away. Thank you for being here. I'm going to mute myself, but I will be here lurking in the background. Talk soon.
Tom, thank you. And hello, everybody, and welcome. So it's always very flattering to hear an introduction like that, but I will say that later on in the talk today, when I talk about opportunity spotting for new business, let's just add to the list, go and buy 10 copies of their book, because then they notice you. Now, today, I've picked a topic which is the art and science of generating leads. And this has come from Tom's new work with his new book, which is all about leads generation. And I'm going to be talking about it in the context of my work using websites as part of the lead generation toolkit. I've got a set of slides here, and I will make these slides available afterwards to everybody who's watching. Now, from your point of view, you should also know that we are recording the video, so you do not need to obsessively take notes. You can watch again at any time. And the last thing is, I would, however, like you to have a pen and paper ready, but I would like it to be used just for one thing, and that is to write down any ideas you have. So not notes, just ideas that you think, ooh, that's something I could do for my business. Right, so without further ado, let's roll into the art and science of generating leads. What's a lead? Now, it's a word that gets used frequently by professionals who work in the sales and marketing world. And I believe, and I define a lead as any business inquiry that leads to revenue. So it's not a lead if it hasn't got the potential to bring money into your business from a paying customer. Now, there are exceptions to this, which might come clear later on. But for now, let's define any inquiry that has the potential to bring revenue into your business as being a lead. And thinking about your own business, you may feel that it's a little bit like chasing a rainbow. Whenever you think you've got to the foot of the rainbow and the pot of gold's there, it's run away and it's further over the horizon than you thought. Leads then are perceived for being elusive, hard to find and hard to create. And it is true that many people do find them extremely hard to generate. But the reflection that I have for you is that think about your own business over the recent maybe 3 years of trading. Can you think of a time when you had lots of leads that led you to inquiries that led to paying clients? And now reflect on whether you've had a period where you had very few leads. This is something Tom calls in his book Feast or Famine, and he describes this as a roller coaster, that the business goes up the roller coaster to a peak where leads are flowing in and the business is happy, the owner is happy, you're busy following them up, and people are signing up to become clients or customers. But then you start to roll down the hill of the roller coaster into a trough where leads become harder to find and people that inquire don't buy. And you then work to claw your way out of this valley of despair up towards another peak. And this roller coaster action is very familiar to many business owners. However, it doesn't have to be like this. To avoid the roller coaster feast or famine, what you need is a reliable process for creating leads. So what's a business process? This is from Wikipedia, and it seems to be pretty straightforward. But I want to highlight some particular parts of this definition. Structured activities or tasks that serve a particular goal. And this is really important. This is why I chose my title as being The Art and Science of Generating Leads. There is a science to it, hence structured activities, but there is also an art form of making something appealing. And when Tom was kindly introducing me and talking about direct response marketing, which is my specialism, that's where skill comes in to put a persuasive offer in front of a prospect in order to make them want to buy your product or service. Now, before we roll on, I will say that at the end of today, we're definitely going to be making you an offer. So hold on to the end if you want to hear what the offer is. But I would also like to say that you are here today as a result of me and Tom putting an interesting offer in front of you and persuading you to click on a link to sign up to come. So you're here because of the underlying business development process that I use and the direct response marketing skill in writing persuasive words on the page to get you to do something, which was click on the link and register. So thank you for being here. But I also want you to understand that because you're participating in this, you've seen it from the customer's point of view. And I hope that you're here willingly, not unwillingly. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing for you. Now let's think back to our leads. Do you know the number one reason that customers don't buy from a business is because nobody from that business has contacted them to follow them up? That's the most extraordinary statistic. For someone like me who absolutely loves the thrill of the chase when you're pursuing new inquiries for new customer prospects, the fact that nobody contacts them is just a crying shame. It means that money is walking away from your business. The second reason why customers don't buy is that the person who made the inquiry doesn't have the authority to purchase. And that's a slightly different context. But quite often they will tell you who the person in authority is. And so if the business had followed up, they might have been able to move on to put their proposition to the person who could buy. What this tells me is that tenacity really, really pays off. And there is a well-known Pareto principle in sales, which says that 8% of salespeople get 80% of the sales. And they do it because they're dogged and persistent, and they stick to doing their scientific leads follow-up tasks. And so 44% of salespeople apparently give up after the customer has said no to them once. But just like a good persistent lover who knows that he really, really, really wants to marry this girl, 22% of salespeople give up after they've had no said to them twice. People who say no 3 times, 14% give up, and 4 times, 12.5% give up. So what that tells me is getting down to the 8% of salespeople who get 80% of the sales, an awful lot of what they do isn't rocket science. And today I'm going to show you a little bit of how. This slide shows you the 8 steps that my firm, Creative Agency Secrets, uses to generate new business. We're going to run through each of these today. So as I said, there's no need for you to scribble it all down here and now. What we're going to talk about is how to find which activities or which tasks will feed your lead generation process that will help deliver leads and inquiries for your business. Now, every business is not identical, and some of the examples I'll give may not be suitable for you. Don't despair. There are lots of creative people who can help find the right processes that do suit your business. And don't forget that you can adapt and adjust some of the examples that I give to make them suit your particular situation. Now, I've been doing this for 15 years. I have worked on developing this methodology, and I've used it for myself and for my clients. And this is the detail of how it works through. New business requires quite a lot of different elements, and each of the icons in the previous slide break out to these 8 separate areas. We will run through them each individually, but they aren't a sequence. It's not like a train line where you have to go to the first station before you can get to the second station or the third station. But you do need to have an element of all of these if you want to guarantee that ongoing flow of leads to get off the roller coaster and make your business secure. You ready to begin? So, which of these components are going to suit you? They've all got to tie together, and I will tell you at the end exactly how to work out tying them all together. And as you probably guessed from my anecdote about the tenacity of salespeople and the 8% getting 80% of the sales, the things that work that underpin this are consistency, persistency, and diligence. I describe myself in my LinkedIn profile as having persistence and diligence, and it is the #1 reason why I am ongoing successful at creating leads. There are lots of other good elements, but that is the #1 reason. So let's get on with building the components that may help you to build your business and a pipeline of leads. Now, what I'm going to do is to run through each of the 8 elements one at a time. And then I'm going to give you examples of how these are put into practice. Now, I've never done this before, so Tom doesn't know this, but I'm going to trust you with the actual detail from my own business of how we actually go about generating leads, the different elements in our ongoing sales and marketing activities so that you can get a really good understanding of the full picture. And as I said, I feel a little bit vulnerable because I haven't ever explained in public before what we do. Before I launch off, I'd like to think back to a time on the internet when it was frightfully fashionable to publish manifestos. It was based on the Lutheran manifesto nailed to the church door in Germany that launched the start of the Protestant Christian movement and the breakaway from the Catholic Church. So that was a very long time ago. But the point of a manifesto is to nail your colours to the mast. And I published a manifesto. It was called the Advice and Guidance Manifesto, and it went something like this. If I am expert in what I do, and you want my expertise, I could hypothetically download my brain to you today so that you had in your possession the sum total of all of the experiences that I had ever had in my working life that led me to become the expert that I am. But you would still not be as good an expert as me, and this is the reason. Because in my brain, the ability to make synaptic connections between experiences and knowledge that I have had in the past and to use those for new situations, I will always be better at that than you. Because although I've given you the full download, I actually have had the experience and you haven't. And for this reason, the Advice and Guidance Manifesto goes like this. As an expert, you should willingly share your knowledge with people who want to learn. Because if you are an expert, you will always be one step ahead of them. They will never be able to completely copy what you do, and you will continue to innovate and lead. And so you should not feel threatened. So today, I'm taking my courage in both hands, and I'm not going to be threatened by you, and I'm going to share with you how we do our new business development. The first step is who are you and what you do. Let's take a good hard look at your business, what you do, and who interacts with you. There are quite a lot of elements to this, and you may have these completely nailed already. What is the elevator pitch that defines your business? What do you offer? Who are your competitors? What's different or special or unique about you and your team and the products and services that you offer that can explain your point of difference? Who are the main people in your business? Who are your clients? What's your track record or case histories or case studies? What are the objectives of the business owners? What do they want to achieve? And where would you like to be in 5 years' time? So lots of questions, but these will help you to define a clear statement of who you are, because it's really important to know not just what is your business, but what is not your business. So for us, our business has 3 elements. I've put our logo up as the example here because, as you can see, we've got a strap line underneath that says Marketing Success Unlocked. Now, Ross Murray, our lovely graphic designer who created our logo for us, incorporated this strap line at my request because the name of the business gives you a hint about what we do. We are a creative agency. But what we actually deliver is marketing success. And so I wanted that incorporated into the logo style that we can then use over and over again. So the first part of State Your Business for us is a one-liner, Marketing Success Unlocked. Then I have a sentence, an agency specializing in execution marketing for small and medium businesses. Execution, marketing. We do marketing. So that's what we do, and the strapline explains the success that we deliver. And then we have a paragraph and some bullet points, which is the lower half of the page. So if you go and check us out in the Our About page, that's what you get. So you get a bit more detail. So it's a little bit like a pyramid. There's 3 words at the top, an expanded sentence halfway down, and then a lot of detail at the bottom. And of course, we can go into ever more layers of detail. The point about this is to help someone who I meet or who researches us online to work out quickly whether what we do is what they want or need. So that's the beginning. State your business, who are you, and what do you do?
Hey, Rebecca.
Hey.
Are the slides meant to be changing?
They are.
Well, they're not at my end. Just if someone else could let us know if they are or they aren't. Because I've still got your PowerPoint. Oh, now I've got talk, marketing communications.
I apologise. Let's see if I can set that up again and get it working better.
That's all right. It's all been very interesting. I just thought that maybe the slides were meant to be changing. We're seeing them in your editing view, which is fine.
How's that?
Wanted it like that.
Has it now gone to?
It hasn't gone to presentation mode yet. We're still seeing the slides on the left, and on the right we've got slide layout, change master, and so on.
Technology, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident I've stuffed something up at my end.
No. I'm going to carry on. So I'm going to trust you guys to understand that what you're seeing. That's so odd. God, I hate it. Right. So here's a test, Tom. If I go back one slide, has that changed?
Yep.
Okay, let's try screen. Has that changed?
No.
Okay, so clearly when I go into presentation mode, that's what's causing the problem. That's all right.
And that's okay. I think so long as we can see the slides, we're seeing talk right now, so long as we see the slides as you're moving through them, that'll be fine.
Thank you. Apologies, everyone. So we're now into the second step of the 8-step new business development methodology. Marketing communications. Do your marketing materials match up to your offering? And we start with a quick audit. Go around your business and pick up a copy of every single marketing communications bit of literature or collateral that you can find. You've probably got a website, you might have some brochures, you might have some one-page case studies, you might have video, you've probably all got business cards, you might have some testimonials. Put them all on a table and look at them with a critical eye. Do they accurately reflect what you do? What's the role of each separate bit of collateral? What does it deliver to the reader? Who's the target audience? And of course, there are 7 C's to communications. Are they clear, concise, current, i.e. up to date, consistent? Do they capture attention? Do they communicate the character or personality of your business? And are they customer focused? So that's a lot to think about. But take a look at all of your marketing communications. What have you got and what are you doing with it or not doing with it? And that's a list that you will make. And from that list, it will give you some clues as to whether you need to change any of them. So for us, we have a range of different marketing communications material. The picture on the right is the home page of our website, which has a big image that says power up your website using our 8-step methodology, which of course you're getting now, and it offers a free ebook, which you're all very welcome to go and download for yourself. We also have business cards. Our business cards are particularly memorable because we have cartoons on the back of them. We just want to be remembered as, oh, I remember those people. They had cartoons on the back of their business cards. Thanks to Hugh MacLeod at Gaping Void for those. We have notepads. So when we do a face-to-face event like this, People can take notes on branded notepads. We use our blog very intensively. I know that's also part of the website, but I see it as a parallel part of the website, because of course it's where we showcase our opinion, our views and our expertise. We have 3 different newsletters aimed at different audiences. We also have a video brochure, which is called a pitch pack, which is a physical A5 printed document that you can hand to someone or send through the post. And when you open the front cover, it automatically starts to play 3 videos that state a bit more about us and our business and what we do. If anyone's interested in that, we actually make these, and the website is pitchpack.co.nz. And then we also have expert articles, and these are published in a digital marketing magazine that's online and also gets shared out into social media and through the mailing list of the subscribers to that magazine. So that's some of the detail of the actual marketing communications literature. There is a theme of colour, which you can see. There is a consistency of approach so that they fit together in a clearly thought through pattern. Some of them are expensive, some of them are cheap. It's cheap for me to give you a business card, but we do need to have met. So before we have met, how might you find out about us? You might find the website, or you might be doing a search for something online and find our blog. As a result of that, I'd hope that you might consider joining our newsletter. But when we meet face to face, depending on our perception as to the likeliness of you becoming a client, I then might give you a video brochure for yourself to maybe take back to the office and share with colleagues. So you see how they all begin to fit together. Now, what about your new business pipeline? Pipeline's a nice word, but it's used by people in the trade to explain the stages that your prospective clients and customers go through from when they become aware of you to the point at which they part with money in order to buy your product or service. There are obviously different steps of increasing intimacy as people progress through your pipeline. It's also sometimes called a funnel. Now, at this step, I'd like you to also do an audit, but it's a slightly different audit. I want you to go and look at your accounts and print out the names of your most recent clients. Depending on the sort of business you are, you could go back a year or maybe only 2 or 3 months. But what I want to know is how come they decided to buy from you. So I'd like you to draw up a little table that says, who were they? What was the source of their inquiry? How did they find out about you? When did they first get in touch? What did they actually do? You know, was it an email inquiry? Was it a Skype discussion? Did you meet them at a networking event? Did they respond and attend one of your webinars? Then look at the individual in your business who handled the initial inquiry and led them toward buying. And then what happened? What was the result? So from your account software, you should be able to tell the list of people who bought. Then I'd like you to add to that the list of people who inquired but did not buy. And the purpose of this is to see if there's a pattern developing. Are there some obvious routes that people take regularly? What is bringing people to discuss things with your business? And then the flip side is, are there any organizational weaknesses? Is there a consistency of somebody who brings in inquiries but doesn't close the sale? Are there any problems that you can see in how people are coming to your organization? Are there any threats? For example, like most of your new business comes through a single channel. And of course, the threat is if that channel goes away, would you lose all of your new business inquiries? And lastly, it would be good to ask around to people you trust and ask them what they think of your business and how they would get in touch with you, so that you build up a picture of your recent history with new business. For ourselves, the picture I've put up here is a screenshot of a spreadsheet that I update every single month of the year. So although it's very small, you've got months of the year going across the columns, with the extreme right-hand column is our most recent one. And on the left-hand side, we have sources of new business. And these range from a website inquiry to networking to, we have a little pop-up on our website that's run by vCETA, to a referral, to a webinar or presentation. So there are lots of different ways that people can get in touch with us and make an initial inquiry. And each month I just count the number of inquiries that come through each channel. And you can just see from the little blobs that we have some that are more consistent than others. Then below, I write the name of the organization and the email address of the person who got in touch. And then I color code it. And it's a pretty simple traffic light system of red, amber, green. And then blue is a written proposal. So you can see there are a few blues on the right-hand end of people I've written proposals to and who haven't yet converted. Red ones obviously decided not to buy from us, and green ones did. So you can see our recent history of pipeline and the pattern that emerges. On the left of the slide, I've written down the steps that we use to define the stages that people go through as they come to being a client. They make an inquiry. We find out what source the inquiry came from. Discussions can have several stages, but they can be high level and simple, or they can be detailed. And obviously you need to whittle it down to a level of detail that you can write a priced proposal. If the proposal is not priced, it is not yet a proposal. That's one of my rules. And then at the end, of course, we get a decision from the business owner. Did we win the business or did we lose the business? Now let's move on to you and your business profile. What do you do in order to get better known? Now, you can tell from my accent I'm from Great Britain, and I've worked for firms there and also Americans, and I've done a bit of work in Europe as well. When I came to New Zealand, I find that New Zealanders do business slightly differently. Here, it's more important, almost than anything else, for people to have met you or felt that they have had some face-to-face interaction with you before they'll buy. Australians are not the same, and Britons and Americans are definitely not the same. And so for me, prospecting to New Zealanders, it was very important to raise my profile in the face-to-face environment. And that was one of the reasons why I chose some of the tactics that we now pursue successfully. So let's list out the things that you currently do and the things that you could be doing. So do you write articles? Do you use LinkedIn, both for the business and for yourself personally and for your senior colleagues? What about the printed press, whether it's the trade press or your local newspaper? Do you get quoted by journalists? What about seminars and webinars like this, which I call educational events? Do you do anything like that? Do you do outbound mail shots? Now, these might be in post, or they might be electronic, or they might be by SMS. So what are the things that you are or could be doing? Here are some ideas that might help you to jot down some things that you could add to your profile raising activities. Get to know some journalists. Provide them with opinions and think pieces so that they know that you're a source of opinion and views when something comes up. Do you ever go to conferences, either as attendee or as a public speaker? Public speaking is a very good way of raising your profile. What about industry awards? Here in New Zealand, the Westpac Bank sponsors business awards right across the country in different regions for different categories. It's a terribly good way of raising your profile if you can get your business shortlisted for an award. What networking do you do? Is it online? Is it in person? What types of groups are there that might be suitable for you? I found the website meetup.com to be very, very good at helping me find groups of people who are already aggregated around a particular topic. So if you want to meet entrepreneurs, if you want to meet VCs, if you want to meet people who just want to be sociable, if you want to meet young mothers, if you want to meet people who are interested in comedy, there are lots and lots and lots of different groups. Go and do some searching and see what's around in your town or area, and see whether or not you can't join some different groups explicitly with the view of meeting new people and raising your profile. What about your employees? What do they do? Could they be helping you raise your profile? And of course, there's social media, which is not for everyone, but it is a well-known and easy place to access a range of people who might potentially become clients. So how do we do it? Well, I've chosen to put the image on the right here of today's event, the art and science of generating leads. But here are the sorts of things that we spend and invest time in. PR to journalists is quite important, and it's something that I'm increasing our focus on this year. We write expert articles, as I mentioned earlier, for a digital marketing magazine. I personally do some public speaking, both here and overseas. We run workshops, and so I will be doing a face-to-face version of this webinar for people who want to come in and actually see it in practice. We host other sorts of events. So I have a private invitation small group event, which is called Unhurried Conversations. One social media network that you may not be aware of is SlideShare. It's owned by LinkedIn, and it's a place where you can share your PowerPoint or keynote content to an audience. It's quite cute because it also connects with your personal LinkedIn profile if you set it up correctly, and will show your slides in your LinkedIn profile. So there are some of the things that we do in order to raise our profile and become famous. Now let's look at relationship development. How many times does someone need to get in touch with your business before they part with money? Can they buy online instantly? How many times do they browse before they buy? Do you know the answers to these questions? I worked in CRM, customer relationship management, and what we used to describe this as is how many touches does it take with the organization before you win a new client? Now, there are lots of different ways of appraising this, but how many different events and what were the steps that someone went through before you won your most recent customers? We've already talked about you bringing out your pipeline list. Is there a method, a process that you use for building relationships at the moment? Could there be one? And what would be the ideal process, and how many steps are there in that? What tools do you use to help you with relationship development? Have you got a CRM system? Do you diary time to work on new business? What about using autoresponders? Remember, I showed you the homepage of our website and there's a free ebook. You don't actually instantaneously get the ebook. First, you have to subscribe and share your contact details with us, and then we instantaneously give you the free ebook. But we then follow it up with a couple of other messages in an autoresponder email sequence to help you get the most out of the book and to deliver value. That allows us to have 3 or 4 separate touches with you if you subscribe, and brings you to a point where I know who you are, and that helps me to see whether I can develop a relationship with you. So let's have a think about all of the different things that you could be doing to build relationships. And exactly the same as I described the pyramid for our brand messaging at the beginning, who are you and what do you do in step 1? There's a pyramid here. There are some people who you want to have FaceTime with, and others who you want to stay in touch in a more mass marketing environment. So this is what Creative Agency Secrets does. The autoresponder I just described for Get My Website Working For Me is the picture on the right-hand side. Every time someone subscribes to it, I print out a note of their contact details that they have kindly shared with us. And I go and research them and find out whether I know them already. And then I make a note to get in touch and to check whether or not they found the book useful and whether they have taken any action in the tactics that the ebook suggests as a good way to get your website working. Social media is a good way to build relationships, and it ties in with the expert articles I talked about earlier. When I write an article for the trade magazine, both the holding company and the actual magazine itself on-shares that into their own social networks. I also put it into an expert business-to-business aggregation website, which brings together a lot of expert content, and then they reshare it out to their readers. And so I have a chance of enlarging the circle of people who might read what we've written. Then we do things like joint ventures with super people like Tom. Then we do relationship networking. Again, it's coming through again because I would like to have the opportunity to allow you, if you want, to get to know us. We also have professional memberships of a couple of trade bodies, one of which is the New Zealand Software Association. That's pretty handy if you want to win business with software companies. And then I have a thing called circles of influence. Now, this was something that I developed after listening to Dan Morris and Rachel Martin speak. They're American experts in how to grow an audience for your business. And I brought them to New Zealand in 2015 to do a nationwide speaking tour. We're actually bringing them back again here in 2016, and I'll tell you about them when we're ready to release it. But one of the things that they taught me was that in any business, there are other organizations whose services and products precede yours in the buying cycle. So before I bought a smartphone, for example, I was already an active user of a regular phone. Before I was an active user of a regular mobile phone, I was an active user of a smart device to manage my database of contacts. It was actually called a Scion organizer. And in fact, before I used a Scion organizer, I used a different, simpler organizer. And each of those elements stacked up into making a smartphone purchase the sensible thing for me to do. Your business is the same, and so is mine. There are other businesses who help clients out when they are at the stage before your area of niche of expertise. So for us, the stage before us is people who want marketing and business strategy. So business consultants and marketing strategy specialists help clients. But both of those people generally want short-term engagements with their customers, and then they need to pass on the business to someone else to execute the strategy that they have helped to develop. And that's my business. We are execution marketing specialists. So I form relationships with people who are upstream of our product and service set. I mentioned unhurried conversations earlier, which are private evening discussions, which if you're interested, go and Google unhurried conversations. You will find out how they work. They're an extremely nice antidote to networking and to giving presentations. And I encourage you to have a look at them because they're a really interesting tool. Everybody who comes to them absolutely loves them. And I think it's part of the mindfulness and unhurried approach that makes people see greater and deeper value than they would if you just invited them to an evening networking event. Now, subcontracted services, the last one on the list, is a downstream element of our business. Upstream, I mentioned, is marketing strategy people. But there are things that we know our customers and clients need, but we do not actually provide. One of them, a good example, is web development. We are not web development experts. And so we have a list of people who are subcontractors who do work for us. And we choose to leverage that as a marketing point of difference. You can find out about it if you go to our homepage. And on the right-hand side, there are 4 bullet points. One of them says, I'm an agency and I'd like to work with you. Click on that and see where it takes you. Now, creating opportunities for new business. New business does not fall out of the sky. I think we've already got that message. But there are lots of ways of spotting opportunities which, if you're not training your eye to look out for them, you will overlook. And this is a really cute way of finding new things that you might try out and then at some point build into the earlier stages of your new business development. So the sorts of things we're looking at here are, can you be proactive? Do you know if a business looks like they need a new website? Get in touch with them and offer to build a new website for them. Could you spot a business that perhaps was perceived to be very unsexy? A good example of this was the ice cream business. In the early 90s, ice cream was just a commodity product. You either bought popsicles and ice lollies and ice creams for your kids, or you bought it in a tub or a block to eat at home. And then along came a company called Haagen-Dazs. And guess what? Ice cream became sexy. The little caterpillar had turned into the most beautiful butterfly. It's possible to find caterpillars and think about how you could enhance their business and turn them into beautiful butterflies. That's a great conversation to have. You can also find organizations who exist to match buyers and sellers. There are an awful lot of online marketplaces nowadays, including places like Upwork and Guru.com. And I got invited to a couple of others recently. Go and find them, because these are great places to showcase your own business expertise and skills and possibly allow prospects to get in touch with you. One that I use is called clarity.fm. Lastly, on opportunities, think about your own passions. Do you have a hobby that you could align with the sorts of new businesses that you'd like to be working with? So if you're passionate about wine or fine food, could you find clients who are in that area so that you can showcase your expertise, which is already there because you like these things? So here are what Creative Agency Secrets does that starts to formalize our referral and word of mouth and to start conversations with people who could become prospective clients. Once a week, on a Wednesday, today, I clear my diary. It is my new business day. I don't do any paid client work. I do not need to keep a timesheet for any client work. It is all about me investing in finding new prospective clients for the business. Now, I know this is something that Tom recommends, and it can seem like an impossibly big task, but I can't recommend it enough. Even if you start by putting aside 2 hours on one day a week, can you grow that to half a day and then a full day? It is an unbelievably good discipline. Remember I mentioned persistence and diligence? This is one of the places where it shows through. I'm also emphatic that I must record every opportunity for new business, however early stage it is. It all goes into one place, which is part of our CRM system. We use a service called Untitled, which is a Google add-on. It combines a database with additional features, such as the ability to track inquiries and then keep a record of them as they move through my sales pipeline. So at any one time, I can look up how many costed proposals I've got out there, forecast their close date, and plan on Wednesday what I'm going to do to advance that discussion closer to a yes or no decision. Now, one of my former bosses had a very good bit of advice for me with regard to yes-no decisions. He said, Rebecca, the customer does not owe you the business, but they do owe you a decision. There are only 3 decisions, yes, no, or maybe. It's up to you to be firm about asking them a direct question and allowing them to give you an answer. And when you listen to that answer, understand, is it a yes, is it a no, or is it a maybe? And based on what that is, that'll tell you what to do next. And that's exactly what I do. We put prospective leads into a pipeline, and each week I try and progress that pipeline. Can I move you closer to making a decision in an appropriate fashion that will help me bring in new business? Now I'm finally getting round to process. Making new business happen is a business process, just like a manufactory like Henry Ford's production line was. What are the steps that you can take that will deliver all of these elements regularly and on an ongoing basis? So go back to the action points that you've recorded in our ideas from this presentation so far, and think about, what could I do each week? What should I do each month? What should I do each quarter? And you're getting the hang of it now. What should I do each year? So as an example, something that happens yearly is to write a marketing plan and to write a budget. Put aside some money and time to plan what you're going to do. Then, of course, that breaks down into the quarters, the months, and the weeks. And of course, I've already told you that I set aside my Wednesdays to enact and deliver against my plan, my budget. There are a few hard and fast rules that are well worthwhile you taking on. Please copy these. Number 1, have a new business meeting every week. Whether you have it on your own or with a colleague or with an external advisor, doesn't matter. These are cast in tablets of stone, and unless your granny dies, you are going to be at that meeting and you are not going to move the time and place of that meeting out of your diary. It happens. You'll also need a database. Keep tabs on who's doing what for whom. I do recommend an electronic database. There are lots out there. And if you haven't got an electronic one, go and get one. Keep yourselves enthused through the months by having a range of different initiatives. I've already hinted that we've got Dan Morris and Rachel Martin coming here in May to talk about audience industries. And that's a fun national event where we're going to be taking them on a speaking tour, starting in Dunedin and finishing in Auckland. We obviously don't want to do that every month of the year because we're not actually an events business, but it's part of our big mix. So a webinar with Tom, hey, that might be something that if I can persuade him to write a new book every year, he and I might decide that it's worth our while doing perhaps on an annual basis. And all of these things pull together to help generate a whole list of leads and inquiries. Some will be more successful than others, but we'll talk about that later. So here's what we do in our internal processes that support our sales funnel and getting people into our pipeline. The image on the right is our marketing plan. You can see it's a spreadsheet, months across the top, activities down the left-hand side, and each month there are things to be done. There are not things in every single month in every single horizontal row, and some things are obvious preceders to others. So some things like, in order to come here today, I had to have sent you an email. So I can't do it all in one go on one Wednesday. So what we have is a meeting every 2 weeks called Creative Agency Secrets as a client. So we treat ourselves as we would treat a client. We look at our plan, we look at the activities, we look at who's doing what are they up to date with, is anyone falling behind with anything, what's happening in the next 6 weeks on the spreadsheet, and what do we need to do. It's exactly the same process we use when we're working with clients. We've also assigned responsibility for the year plan to one of my colleagues. It's not me. He's in charge, he has budget authority, and he is the major domo who commands the rest of us and makes sure that we deliver. His number one client is Creative Agency Secrets, and it's up to him to make sure that we're a really successful client. And then I have key performance indicators. Now, these are set on a financial basis for the business as a whole, but they are also drilled down to each individual in their performance plan and their own personal professional development plan. This is a model that Tom taught me, but it reinforces all of the other things that I've talked about today. And so when he explained it to me, I could see that it instantly fitted in easily to what we're already doing. And now step 8, the very last step of the process, is analysis and feedback. I hinted earlier that not every marketing activity that we undertake is wildly successful. Some of them aren't great on the first go, and so we iterate and improve. And we can only do that by keeping track of the numbers. What are we measuring? Have we set targets? Do we monitor our analytics? And can all these things together drive your business forward and get you smarter at doing things that deliver leads? Because let's face it, that's why you're here today. One of the most important ratios to measure is the number of inquiries compared with the number of paying customers. For every 10 people who inquire, how many of them do you convert into paying customers? Tracking that will give you a very good clue about your hit rate. It also then allows you to work back from your business plan and say, if I want to add another $100,000, $500,000 onto my revenues this year, what's the value of each client? Easy numbers, let's say they're $10,000 each. How many of new ones do I need a year? Answer, 10 if I want $100,000 of new revenue. How many proposals do I need to write before one of them signs? Say I have a 3-to-1 success rate. So I need to have 3 proposals written, and then I need to convert one of them. And then how many inquiries do I need before I get to the point of writing 3 costed proposals? And you can see how this works out. So for Creative Agency Secrets, what you're looking at here is a picture of a spreadsheet that we keep every month of the analytics from our website, our social media profiles, and this ties in with the other spreadsheet I showed you earlier of the number of inquiries that we get and where they come from. It's really important to us that the keywords that we want to get found for continue to drive traffic to our website. And we do that by writing blog posts and articles that use those keywords. And then we see whether or not we show up in search and whether we're showing up on the first page, the second page, or the 29th page of search on Bing or Google. At the bottom of the spreadsheet, we set some goals, and these can be as simple as add another 25 Twitter followers this month, to the revenues that we want to achieve and the sorts of keywords we want to show up for. And as I explained earlier, these feed through into financial KPIs. Again, it's the responsibility of one of the members of my team to do this spreadsheet every single month. It's the responsibility of my bookkeeper to do the financial KPIs, and it's the responsibility of me and my external CFO to run through those every month and see whether or not we're tracking to target. It all ties in together, and the whole thing is all about generating leads that will bring you new business. So where do we go from here? You've now got a page full of ideas, and I'd like you to make a commitment to start today. Start this week with executing on some of those ideas. Maybe do a prioritization of the ideas. You probably know the ones that you've already tried in the past and have been successful, but perhaps you haven't been persistent and diligent in following through. Put that at number 1 on your list. Put time aside in your diary and start to do it. Other things that might help you. Find an accountability partner, someone internal or external to the business who you trust, and make a deal to phone them once a week and to exchange with them the information that's on your list of ideas and how you're doing in progressing your actions and activities. It really does help. It might sound trivial, but it really helps you focus and ensure that you deliver. And lastly, don't beat yourself up about having to learn how to do all these things from scratch. Buy expert help where you need it. If there's stuff that's too time consuming for you, or it's an area of expertise that you don't have, like copywriting or SEO, go and find somebody who can do it for you or who can teach you how to do it yourself. Setting things up right from the first and then teaching you how to use a system is often a really good midpoint between trying to start and do it yourself and failing and making mistakes, which could be expensive, and then perhaps at the other extreme, not feeling in control because you've outsourced and you don't actually know what's going on. And just a little fact here. I estimate that 90% of you who are listening today will not implement all of these things I recommend. You won't change your business, and you won't get off that roller coaster of feast and famine for leads. But I am absolutely convinced that if you're in the 10%, you can make a change. In the little blue bar at the bottom, I've put down an ebook that I wrote with 57 different ways of spotting opportunities for new business. I've popped it onto our web shop for $1, and you can just have it if you follow that URL, which again, you will get when I share the slides with you. And now for the sales pitch. You've kindly listened to me, and for that, I'm really grateful. I'm giving you 2 separate options here. One is, if you want to outsource, come talk to us about getting us to help you write the year plan, the detailed activities based on our expertise and areas of knowledge that are likely to work for your business, and then we'll help execute these with you and for you. So you might say, train up one of the members of your team to be doing the marketing with us so that they can become more expert and take on more of it in the future. We keep in touch regularly, and you will begin to see results within 3 months, guaranteed. The second option is to buy coaching and advice. Buy our time, we will teach you how to do it, and then we walk away and you carry on your own. We'll tackle almost anything, but I will tell you we'll be utterly honest if we don't think we can help you. If you ask for some particular niche specialism like, let's say shooting video and getting your aperture size right and your lighting right, I'll tell you that we're not experts in that, but I will help you use our subcontracted services list to find somebody who will be right for you and with whom you can contract with direct. We don't clip the ticket. We don't act as a middleman. We enable you to hire experts from our pool of talent. And that's part of the transparency and trust that I believe is really important in business today. If you're not sure what it would be like working with us, I've put a hyperlink there to a web page of our testimonials. And don't forget, that guarantee is real. Within 3 months, you'll make 3 times our fee in new revenues, guaranteed. If not, I'll refund you the difference. So lastly, connect with me professionally. Ask any questions you like. Join me on LinkedIn or Twitter, and let's hang out together. Now, Tom, are you still with us? I'm just going to close the screen and move to another one so that I can see if anybody is asking questions, because I should be able to see them. Here we go. Dita tells me that the slides are out of focus. I'm so sorry, Dorothy. I will try and email you the slides so that you can see them. Any other questions from anyone who's listening? Hold that thought. Tom.
Rebecca.
How are we doing?
I'm here. We're doing exceptionally well. My connection dropped out.
I hate it when that happens.
About 3 or 4 minutes ago, so I'm hoping everyone else is okay.
Yeah, you can see the number of viewers. We've got viewers, we've got real people. So,
excellent.
Are you going to
excellent. Well,
tell anyone about your plan?
As I said, I dropped out there for 4 or 5 minutes, but about my what, sorry?
Your plans, your book, for example. Are we allowed to mention your book?
Oh, my cunning plans. Oh, yes. Well, it's all going to be revealed on April, perhaps an appropriate day. I might wait till after to midday. But yes, a brand new program coming out, accompanied by a brand new book and brand new marketing channels and distribution. And we're going into the US and across Australia, New Zealand to the UK. It's all very exciting. So I'm working my little tiny Kiwi butt off over here, preparation for that. But I'm excited about it, and thanks for the opportunity. The subject is leadsology, the science of being in demand. So we'll pull the wrapping off that on April the 1st officially, although we do have a little sneak preview coming up very shortly. Have we got any questions?
I think you and Dorothy have had a long discussion about video settings and getting the slides in sharp focus. But nobody has written any questions in yet, so that's okay. I'm very happy if there aren't any questions.
Well, what I loved about what you did is there are so many actionable items throughout your presentation. I appreciated that. So many practical, effective actions for generating leads and continuing to stimulate and sustain those leads. And also, the big one I liked was how often do we have a prospect who's not the yes, not the no, but perhaps later, and yet that prospect can drop between the cracks. And for want of a simple system such as the spreadsheet you displayed, those are opportunities to leave money on the table. So look, I think we can probably close out. I'd thoroughly encourage everyone online to engage and see if you can get a chat with Rebecca or one of her team. Their value proposition is pretty cool. What was it? 3 times your return on investment within 90 days, was that it?
Absolutely right.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Kind of a no-brainer. So folks, get in touch with Rebecca and the team. Have a chat with them about how they can support you in your marketing and revenue growth. The structure, not just the structure, well, that's absolutely critical, and most people don't have that, but the structure Rebecca's team provides, together with the marketing smarts, is the reason an offer to you, guaranteeing you 300% return on your investment when you work with her. Rebecca, that's it from me. I'm going to go and grab and minutes to get some. We'll see you in the next webinar, no doubt.
Thanks everybody very much for your time, for your energy, for your engagement. Send me any feedback. I'd love to hear from you, ways that I can improve this, and happy to take critiques as well. I really am. And looking forward to doing this again sometime.
Cheers,
Bye
everyone.
now.
Thank you.